download for me.
Yes.
Just sitting there spinning, elders just spinning.
I call that the flushing toilet.
Okay. The stars going down just
Yeah,
like a
well.
champ. That loaded.
Yeah, maybe.
Come on, Elder. There we go.
Hey, Roy, did you bring me your sign?
Yes.
Shouldn't do that.
My husband will make me dig ditch.
And you gotta have a home. You gotta build a house.
That's his job. I make it a home. He builds it.
There you go. Mm.
It seems fuzzy to me from here today.
My glasses.
I thought it was just my age.
No.
Things getting fuzzier by the day.
Mhm.
It did seem
Mm-hmm. Me too.
Okay, we'll open this up for another public hearing. Call the roll.
Commissioner Lambert,
Here.
Commissioner Till,
Present.
Commissioner Supla,
Hello.
Administrator Werner, here, Attorney Baxter,
Here.
and Kim Purcell, Montezuma County Clerk and Recorder. Notice is hereby given that the Montezuma County Commissions will hold a public hearing for the purpose of reviewing and determining an AR 10-34 rezoning request and single lot development application submitted by Roy Elder on property located at 10720 Road 43, Mancos, Colorado, consisting of 11 acres more or less, located on Road 43 north of Highway 160, situated in Section 22, Township 36 North, Range 13 West, NMPM. The hearing will be held Monday, March 26, 2018 at 2 p.m. Commissioners Hearing Room, 109 West Main, Cortez, Colorado. Interested persons may attend and give input. Information may be obtained from the Planning Department, Room 305, County Administrative Building, Cortez, Colorado, or accessed online at http://montezumacounty.org, Web Departments Planning. You may also contact the Planning Department at 970-565-2801 with questions. This file can be inspected in the Planning Department during regular office hours. Dated this March 13, 2018. Kim Purcell, Clerk, Board of County Commissioners, Montezuma County, Colorado. Published in the Journal on Friday, March 16, 2018.
Thank you, Kim. Mr. Elder, if you'd like to come up.
This 23 is the section, I think you read 22.
Okay.
That's good. Roy Elder. Nice to meet you, Roy. Nice to
James Lambert, let me meet you.
Learn how to circle, please. Nice to meet you. Tom Baxter. Yeah, we did have 22 in the notice, so I guess that's a typo.
Yeah,
So it was 23.
yeah, it is 23 for sure.
Looks pretty remote out there.
End of the road. Used to be the end.
Yes, that has been a little bit of a bone of contention throughout this process.
Yeah, it's been a
So.
tough road. To say the least.
Mr. Elder is proposing a single lot development consisting of 11 acres more or less. The remaining acreage exceeds 35 acres. There is a road that goes through there that has come to the Board of County Commissioners before for determination. Road 43 somehow inadvertently was removed going through Mr. Elder's property up to the northern property line for some reason. We believe, Doug believes it was the result of a gate installation where when our road department went out there and inspected and looked at things, they just assumed that the gate was the end of the road and removed that section of the road.
Hmm.
It did come back to the Board of County Commissioners in 2007 for review and determination. In 2008, it was added back onto the county road map.
Is the gate gone?
The gate had to
Yes.
be, yeah, the gate was removed. But it is just a bladed road. So Mr. Elder has agreed throughout this process, if approved, that he would grant a 60-foot easement through that section of his property, even though the southern portion of the road leading down to the highway is not that width. But if there's further development in the future, someone would have to obtain the easement from the Yeomans family and the Robbins family in order to further develop. What am I missing? There was a letter from a Corey Heisler and Mark Worth objecting to the application. They're concerned about the site address and the road that's currently there. Because it becomes a single lane road after 3/4 of a mile north of Highway 160. They concur that there will be a 60-foot right-of-way through Mr. Elder's property, but with that being the case, it's not being used or maintained as that. Right now, with Rob Engelhart, he said without further development, he is not going to require Mr. Elder to construct the road to county road and bridge standards, unless, of course, there is that further development. But that 60-foot easement would be put on the plat. It was reviewed by the Board of County Commissioners, Planning and Zoning Commission, and it was unanimously approved with the stipulation that Mr. Elder plat the 60-foot easement, as well as put in a turnaround, a hammerhead turnaround, because apparently the traffic on that narrow road gets backed up with people coming north and south, so they're gonna install a hammerhead, or he's gonna install a hammerhead. Mr. Yeomans, Don Yeomans, who used to work for the County Road and Bridge Department, he was opposed to it initially, not being aware that it was on a green signed road, because he had actually constructed that road and spent a lot of time and money bringing that road up. But there's not a road use agreement, and it being a green signed road, there's not a reason to have any sort of neighborhood road use agreement with those people down that area.
So then he changed his mind?
I think that he's okay with the 60-foot easement, and with it being a single lot development, he is concerned about future development and the width of that road, because it goes through he and his family's property. So if that's the case and there is development in the future, someone would have to obtain legal easement through his property.
To the north?
The Yeomans and the Robinsons are to the south.
South?
Yeah. The county road ends at the end of Mr. Elder's property on the north. Right.
Correct.
Don't want to blast you right there. So the county road goes through the Robbins Ranch and ends right there.
How old's that road?
It was an old-
1920. I've already submitted all the documentation for that, and it's been on every county road map from 1920 to 1988, when it was just erased off the map without
Right.
vacation.
And these owners that live south of Leanne, they're saying that, what are our rights to the road? What are they claiming? That we need to get some easement if we want to develop it?
So in the future, because the Board of County Commissioners previously went through and said that the road was, I think, 12 feet wide.
Yes, I guess
So if, in the future, if there's anyone developing in that area that's going to utilize that road, they would have to obtain additional easement to meet that 60 feet.
Okay, so I don't know, and I don't know that we have to really discuss this right now, since it's not really part of this, but No, I mean, I think that if the road's that old, that we don't need to get an easement from them.
Exactly.
There is a 60-foot easement.
There is over the whole road.
Right.
Yeah, that's what
That's my opinion, but, I mean, I'm open to hearing what all the facts are and whatnot, but I don't know that that's really pertinent to this conversation, is it?
Well, not at this time,
Well,
especially,
well, it is, because you mentioned that I'm allowing a 60-foot right-of-way on my property, but Don and Dina Robbins, or Yeomans, are not. And that's not true. All county roads have a 60-foot easement where they build a fence at 30 feet from fence line to fence line. The county ever needs to improve the road, they got a right to go in there and use that 60-foot easement. So I don't want to be the only one on County Road 43 that's allowing a 60-foot easement, because
I think it helps that we have that in here. I'm just kind of agreeing that it might already exist on the
it
rest
does
of these.
exist.
Yeah, I think
It
it's probably
should, if
true.
it doesn't, it should.
It should, because
Yeah, I think it does, but.
without that easement, you would never be able to install infrastructure for new housing development and stuff, because everybody eventually has a friend that's on the county commissioner. And you guys have the right.
Not me.
And you guys do have a right to let the rancher know that, yeah, you can install it closer than that, but if we need any more right-of-way, you need to remove it and replace it at your expense. That's what I understand about Colorado law, and that's the way it works. So regardless of where the fence line was built, that's not the right-of-way.
He sounds like a county attorney.
Well, I've spent a lot of time self-educating myself on this because I had to.
There's some small exceptions that I think I'm agreeing with that, but.
Okay, good. And on the Hammerhead, I'd like to ask you people this. Because there was a road at one time that went up to Jackson Lake, it never was erased from Google Earth and MapQuest and all them new navigation items. So I still get RVs that drive up my road with a 50-foot RV, and I gotta move all my vehicles, and the only way that they can get turned around is in my driveway.
Oh, my word.
So most county roads, when it's a dead end, do have a turnaround, and there's a good reason for that. So, you know, I noticed in the past, like Rodham K5, you guys installed, the county, a hammerhead or whatever you want to call it at the end, so vehicles can move out of there if they end up in there, which they have. You know, it's still on Google Earth that there's a road going up to Jackson Lake through my property. So it happens all anytime. So I don't think I should absorb the whole cost of the turnaround, is all I'm saying. I want to work with the county. I've got some fill material out there that they can use. I'd like to meet with Rob on site and see what he can do and what my neighbors can do that's on the north of me, and make this a lot better deal, because it does need a turnaround. You know, like all county roads usually have one at the very end.
Yeah, if they dead end, they do.
So that's what I'm gonna ask Rob, if he could meet me out there and we can go over this and work together on it.
Has he been out there before with you,
Rob?
Rob?
Not over this issue. He was out there, meeting with my neighbor. I never met with Rob on site yet.
just another thing to throw in here as part of the contingencies from the Planning and Zoning Commission. There was also a request for it to be contingent on a fire plan and a weed plan. Bonnie's very concerned about the weed infestation there.
Hmm. Okay. Is she on Mr. Elder's property?
Yes, which we can do, we can enforce through the planning department, through the development, we can enforce the 3-acre, the 11-acre tract that he's proposing. As far as the remaining 35 acres, that would be on the county's noxious weed program.
What kind of vegetation's out there?
It's, well, half of what I own is all river bottom. Big cottonwood trees, and it's floodplain in essence. And it's got big ponderosas on there. And the other half, approximately about 20 acres, is a ridge that goes up about 400 feet in elevation. So it's all pinyon juniper, and it just switches right at the road. The road is right at the toe of the slope, so in essence, everything west of the road is upland, and then everything east of the road is river bottom.
Are there noxious weeds there now?
Yeah, and I had them under control, but the last few years that I worked out of town, and just over the last few years, they've gotten bad. It doesn't take long, and the majority of them are just right along the roadway. And I don't know if, I guess I'm responsible for spraying the road, and the county doesn't have a weed sprayer that runs on down the county roads, because that's where most of the weeds are at, right beside the road, which I didn't get cleaned up
We do.
last year. You do? Well, let them know I got a green sign county road now. Everybody.
Yes, sir.
Everybody kind of wrote that one off because it was gone for 12 years. I had to maintain that road. I had to put culverts in that road, all on my expense, because the county took it away from me with no reason whatsoever, because I had all the proof at
But
the
you have
first
it
meeting.
back.
Yeah,
It's back.
it's still a bone of contention, because it cost me about $25,000 to reinstate that road, with lawyers and research and all, which I shouldn't have had to pay. Right when I closed on my property, I found out that I don't have access to the state highway system, so I was held hostage. I had to get a 16-foot easement from Dixie Robbins that cost me $3,000, or I was gonna lose buying the place. That's how bad it was. So it's been a tough deal for me, you know, the whole process, because it was so corrupt. Anyway, I'm sorry to get off on a tangent.
Are there any other questions from the commissioners?
No.
If not, we'll open it up to public comment. If anybody has a comment on this, if they come up to the podium, state your name, address, tell us what you have to say. Don't see anybody. We'll close the public comments portion. Take it back to the commissioners.
Whose advice was it that the road be closed back then? Was it the road supervisor or the county commissioner?
It was, of course, Don Yeomans was the Mankis Road supervisor that wanted that road closed, but it was the county commissioners. It was Tom Weaver, Gerald Kopenhaver, and Larry Rule. The good old boys, I call them.
But you can't just abandon a road unless you have a public hearing, go through all that.
I-
It was a mistake.
I
They did-
honestly-
They did it wrong. I mean,
That's correct.
I mean, I guess
It was
none
not
of us were around,
intentionally
But
done.
I have
Is
another
it,
question.
is it a maintained road? Does the county maintain that road?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, so
It's only bladed like once
Once a
or
year.
twice a
So
year.
it's kind of on the perimeter
as
side
needed.
of the, kind of the,
Yeah.
like we have up at Summit Lake, right?
Correct.
Right, got you.
That's the minimum requirements
Yeah.
to meet the state criteria.
Yes, I was able to use the county gravel,
Yeah.
furnished by the county. I had to pay for the haul.
Sure.
So I just gravelled it about 2 years ago, you know, from my gate up to my house, which is about 1,200 feet, 12 foot wide, because I was the only one back there until recently. Now I got a neighbor that lives north of me, one person, and that's all in conservation easement, north of me, so it won't ever be a development. It's gonna have a lot of cars and stuff.
What's your pleasure?
have we had public comment?
What's that?
Oh, we already did. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you have another question, Commissioner?
I'm for it.
I would move that the determining of an A10 rezoning request by Mr. Roy Elder located on property at 10720 Road 43, Mancus, consisting of 11 acres, more or less, be approved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that an A10-34 rezoning request and single lot development application be approved. That's been submitted by Roy Elder on property located at 10720 Road 43, Mancus. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Roy, where'd you say you had a neighbor on that road? Where's your neighbor on that road?
Mark Worth lives north of me, just straight up the river bottom, and his,
Oh, okay.
his house is like way up here around the town ponds on the other side of the Mancus, but he has, you know, a right to go through here, and so does a lot of other entities, you know, the state, the Bureau of Rec,
So that road continues
town
on?
of Mancus, it goes on up to the Jackson Lake Flume, where
Oh,
everybody
gotcha.
gets their irrigation water out of, you
Gotcha.
know, so.
So that road continues on, but it just stops being a county road at your property
At mine,
line.
the north end of my property,
Gotcha.
that's where it was
I
reinstated
got
to.
you. Gotcha.
After that, it's just a private road
Okay.
going up there.
All righty.
Can you read now?
Thank you.
We'll close this hearing.
Thank you so much.